The Quiet Genius. Albert Einstein's life as an introvert. Have you ever heard about a genius who shook the world with his thoughts that were way ahead of his time? Yes, we're talking about Albert Einstein. But today, we're not just going to talk about his famous theory of relativity. We're going to dive into another side of him, his life as an introvert. And let me tell you, Einstein wasn't just any introvert. He was living proof of how the power of silence and solitude can create works that change the course of history. Let's start with a little-known fact. Einstein cherished solitude. He once said, "Solitude is painful when one is young, but delightful when one is more mature." Imagine this. A man with wild, unkempt hair, sitting in the corner of a room, lost in thought, while people around him probably thought he must be napping. But make no mistake, behind that quiet demeanor, his brain was dancing with theories, equations, and ideas that made physicists around the world scratch their heads. While others were mingling at parties, Einstein preferred sitting with an apple in his hand, staring out a window, possibly thinking, if I dropped this apple in space, what would happen? There's an interesting story about Einstein when he worked at the patent office in Switzerland. This job, boring as it might seem to most people, was paradise for Einstein. Why? Because it gave him hours of quiet time to ponder wild ideas, which eventually led to the special theory of relativity. Can you imagine that? Where others would have gone mad from boredom, Einstein thrived. It was as if he thought, you all keep checking documents while I sit here figuring out how time slows down when we approach the speed of light. But don't get the wrong idea. Being an introvert didn't mean Einstein was antisocial. On the contrary, he valued meaningful conversations. This is one reason why he surrounded himself with a small group of like-minded friends, those who weren't afraid to dive into topics like the universe, quantum theory, or even, does a cat that's invisible in a dark room still exist? And here's one more thing we can all learn from him. Einstein was never afraid to be different. As an introvert, he didn't feel the need to prove himself to others. He had the courage to say, imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world. Just think about that, folks. While everyone else was cramming information into their heads, Einstein was light years ahead, racing with wild ideas that would give humanity a whole new way to look at space and time. But there was humor in his brilliance too. Legend has it that when a journalist once asked him, "How did you come up with the theory of relativity, Mr. Einstein?" he calmly replied, "Well, everyone was thinking about how to ride a bike faster. I was thinking about what would happen if the bike moved at the speed of light." The journalists, of course, were stunned, probably thinking, okay, we weren't ready for that answer. So what can we learn from Einstein as an introvert? That silence is not a weakness, but a space where great ideas are born. That it's okay to take time to think deeply while the world rushes on. And most importantly, being an introvert doesn't mean being passive. It's in those moments of quiet that we can find the courage to be different, to think outside the box, and to solve problems in ways no one has thought of before. So, the next time you feel like you need some time alone, remember Einstein, the introvert who, in his silence, changed the world. And who knows, maybe in your next moment of quiet, you'll have an idea of your own, ready to shake the world just like Einstein did. Thanks for watching.